gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's June the 1st, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, and Izubee Charles, as we discuss the news of the day. And I usually do this at the end of the show. Tonight, I'm going to do it at the beginning because we are inching closer to the start of the football season. It is June 1st. Recruiting is going to be insane this month. And if you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come join our community of fans and our site. We will have an enormous amount of coverage this month of all the recruiting going on. You're going to start seeing commitments. This is crunch time. This is what January used to be in the old school days when the signing day was in February. Well, now the signing day is in December, and the kids are all getting ready to have their football seasons. So the month of June has become the time of the year where recruiting is really at its most important. So come over to CaneSport.com, become a subscriber to our website. Your subscriptions allow us to do what we do every day. And one of those things is obviously Good Morning CaneSport. If you like this show, you like our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube, grow our audience for all of these shows that we bring you guys. But today is June 1st. And big day for a lot of reasons. Kids can start visiting now here in the month of June, and you're going to see 7 visits in football this weekend. Might see a few in basketball too. We'll see how that shakes out. But this is visit season here, and we've been previewing these 7 visitors over the last few days. We've got a couple more previews on the site today that we'll talk about. And then we'll continue to preview them tomorrow as the visits go into overdrive. And of course, we will have post coverage of the visits over the weekend on CaneSport.com. Today also brings us a day closer to the NCAA baseball regional at Marklight Stadium this weekend. Later today, Izubee is going to be going out there for media day to talk to all the coaches and players that are going to be participating in this regional at this weekend. It's that time of year, really, honestly, the only time of year that matters for the Canes baseball team, going back through decades. A tradition-rich program that has established itself as a postseason god, so to speak, in college baseball. This is the time for the Canes to deliver, and that quest starts this weekend. But before we get into any of that, I thought we would start today with a story that Izubee did and talk a little bit about the NBA Finals, where I'm going to say you're Miami Heat because I'm going to assume that most of you Miami Hurricane fans are Miami Heat fans. You got to see Izubee watch these games, man. He's like bouncing off the walls of his apartment when the Heat come on TV. A huge Heat fan. Matt Shodell, he probably likes the Portland Trail Blazers or something. God knows what basketball team he follows. But this is significant for Miami Hurricanes fans because the Heat are playing the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets, one of their breakout players this year, particularly in the postseason, a guy that's really stepped up and helped them get to the NBA Finals, is former Hurricane guard Bruce Brown. And you'll remember he played with Lonnie Walker, who actually spiked up a bit with the Lakers this year as well. But I think Izubee, Bruce Brown's a little further along in his career, I think, than Lonnie Walker. Really has had a great postseason and is extremely excited to be going into this series with the Heat.
Yeah, Bruce Brown, coming into year 5 with the Denver Nuggets, he tested free agency, ended up in Denver, and he's really had, the best year of his career so far. And it's really picked up kind of towards the tail end of the season, heading into the playoffs. He dropped a career high, I believe, the 30 points kind of in the last few games in the season, and kind of carried that momentum in the playoffs. He's been a huge role player for the Denver Nuggets in that second unit. Led them to the Western Conference championship, swept the Lakers, and now against, your Miami Heat, my Miami Heat, hopefully everyone that's watching is Miami Heat. And it's kind of a bittersweet. It's like, hey, we love seeing a Miami Hurricane player do well in the professional ranks, but hey, it's against our Miami Heat. So it's kind of a bittersweet moment watching him, but he's really excited to come down to Miami. He said he's going to go, stop by Coral Gables and go see Coach L, put a couple shots up, at the arena and just kind of get familiar with the area again, say his congratulations for the team in the Final Four and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's kind of, Miami Heat versus Bruce Brown. And if I'm a Canes fan, Hurricanes fan, I think I'm picking the Heat. But I do want to see Bruce Brown do well, just not well enough to beat the Heat in the final. So, Bruce Brown, if you're watching this, hopefully you are. I hope you're a big Hurricanes fan. Good luck, but I hope you lose, buddy.
These role players for both of these teams have really played starring roles throughout the playoffs and in the conference championship round. Caleb Martin had an unbelievable series against the Celtics. Gabe Vincent has been consistent the whole postseason. Duncan Robinson, those guys for the Heat. And then, of course, there's Bruce Brown has been one of the key guys on the Nuggets that has stepped up. So the spotlight is on Jimmy Butler. It's on Jokic. It's on Murray and those guys. Bam Adebayo, supposedly, although that was quite embarrassing the way he played in the Celtics series. Quite frankly, we're not going to get off on Heat tangents here, but I kind of felt after watching Bam Adebayo in the Celtics series the way I feel about watching Matt Shodell on Good Morning CaneSport. A lot of underachievement, going on out there in the arena, so to speak, and this is Matt's arena. We're going to try to keep him from talking about the transfer portal because it's time to worry about regular recruiting, Matt. This is your time of year, baby. Get fired up. They aren't going after free agents. They're not going after, what do you call the transfers you don't like?
Transfers?
No, it's free agents, and then there's something else. What's the other term?
Transfers. I don't want transfers. I want free agents. Okay. This is my excited face.
All right, but this is time for you to get fired up. No more questioning. Hey, is Mario using the right strategy? Blah, 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 blah. This is the time for them to reel in 4 stars and 5 stars here in the month of June. Shoot up the team recruiting rankings and do what Mario Cristobal typically does, which is become a top 10 force in recruiting. Give us a little glimpse into what's going on in that convoluted mind of yours in this very exciting period for college football and the Hurricanes.
Honestly, I'm just hoping that Izubee and Steven can do all the recruiting work and I can just sit back on my couch and watch the Heat games because, believe it or not, I don't know how to put this. As a reporter, it's weird. I'm not a normal fan. I'm not a normal person in the first place. But as a reporter, it's hard to root for teams because you sort of know what it's all about. And, I don't want to cast aspersions on professional sports, but a lot of these guys out there, they're not doing it because it's fun and because they love the sport. That's why I fell in love with college football. And now I'm falling out of love with college football a little bit too. I got to be honest with you. And I think fans are feeling the same way. Look, I played sports in high school and college. My son played at a high level, in high school and club ball. And I did it because I loved it. My son did it because he loved it. And I hate getting the feeling that a lot of these guys are just doing it because they make money or, it's a job to them. And as much as I like, the Miami Heat, I do like the Miami Heat. I root for the Miami Heat, but like Jimmy Butler, you watched him after that Game 6 loss, and I watched that entire press conference. He's smiling, he's happy, not a care in the world. Now, I don't know if that's an act. Maybe it's an act, but a lot of people who care deeply about something, it's hard to mask how badly they want something and how disappointed they are when they don't get it. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler doesn't want to win, but I'm saying there's other things that are really important to these players. And when Jimmy Butler walks off the court after every game, he's not going to his teammates to celebrate if they win. He's not going to his coach to talk about the next game. He's going to a couple of his buddies courtside and celebrating with them,
And if boys, man.
Right, there's boys. And if a Miami Hurricanes,
why shouldn't we celebrate with them?
Right, nothing wrong with that. And if a Miami Hurricanes players all try to do that, I have a feeling Mario Cristobal wouldn't be very happy. You know, it's supposed to be about the team, about your teammates. You celebrate with your teammates. You agonize with your teammates. You know, professional sports are just different to me. So I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but I will say that being the all-knowledgeable sports reporter I am, I don't get surprised. Well, I do get surprised. I don't get shocked very often in sports. And I legitimately was shocked Game 7. I mean, I was at a watch party with some friends. And in between the 3 boats of sushi I was devouring and the Fireman Derek's Oreo cake and some monster cookies, I was able to get a few words out of my mouth. And the words I told them was, don't get your hopes up. You know, I said, there's no way Miami's winning this game. You know, they won the first 3, then they lost the next 3. You look at their starting lineup and you just think to yourself, what? Like, you know, Jimmy Butler's maybe a top 10 player in the NBA, maybe. Bam is maybe a top 10 power forward. He's not really a center. And the other guys were all like free agent types who were just sort of role players. And you just think, how are they going to win anything? How are they going to win anything? I was shocked at the way in which they won Game 7. I'd love to say that Boston lost it, but I honestly think the Heat won because of their defense. I think this is something that carries over in all sports. And one of the Boston players alluded to it after the game. He said, you know, last year our identity was defense. This year our identity was offense. And he said, I think the better identity to have is defense. And Miami's identity right now is mixing it up. They play a zone defense as well as anybody in the NBA. You're not supposed to be able to successfully play a zone defense in the NBA because that's how good opponents are. They can do it. You know, they can do it. Eric Spoelstra, to me, is one of the best coaches I've ever seen at the NBA level, including Pat Riley. And I've watched a lot of NBA games in my time, in my 342 years on this earth. So, you know, my son says to me, you know, the Heat can't beat Denver. Denver's too good. Like, I just believe, you know, I just believe that he can do anything because they've already proven to me that they can do anything. So anyway, I don't know what you're asking about, something about recruiting. You know, we'll find out after this week. And like, recruiting doesn't excite me like it used to. I'm sorry. And it's partially because of what I was saying earlier. You know, I don't know if fans feel differently. I used to love signing day. I used to love the stuff leading up to signing day. I used to love doing interviews with recruits who love talking to me. And now it feels like they have to get an okay from their agent to do an interview. Or, you know, and the signing day has disappeared because the NCAA decided there's going to be a December signing period and a February signing period. And now there's the transfer portal where you can just leave whenever. I mean, it's diluted everything to me. It's you know, I know fans will say I'm a Debbie Downer. I'm sure I'm depressing everybody, you know, but like, I'm not going to sugarcoat how I feel. Like, that's just how I feel. Like, this is a big recruiting weekend for Miami. I wish I was more excited. Like, I showed you my excited face.
Well,
that's my excited face. Fans should be excited. Fans should be excited if they get some of these guys. And if they get them to sign, fans should be excited. But I'll be excited when they sign, when they report, when they play and look really good. Like, that's just me now because I've watched this movie over and over again for 20 years. I'm not going to get fooled again. Like, I need to see it before I'm going to really have an actual excited face. So until then, that was my excited face. When that happens and when this team starts to really roll, I'll show you my actual, if I have one left, excited face.
All right. Well, we will have continued coverage on the visits. Like I said, today on the website, we have a story with 4-star defensive lineman Kamari and Franklin. He will be making an official visit this weekend as the number 36 overall prospect in the On3 rankings. You know, very good defensive line prospect out of Mississippi. We also have a story today on 4-star linebacker James Nesta. He will be visiting this weekend as well. He shares his thoughts going into this weekend in Coral Gables. We've previewed several of the other guys already. We'll have an additional preview for you guys tomorrow, but we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. But a significant visit weekend, not the biggest of the season here. I mean, you're going to have a couple bigger ones in the coming weeks here in the month of June, but still some significant talent coming through Coral Gables. I think the Canes are going to have, I'm going to guess 8 to 10 commitments here in the month of June. So a lot to look forward to there. Izubee, we're pulling you off recruiting this weekend because we got to send you to baseball and the regional and I mentioned earlier today is media day, and you're going to have a chance to go out there and talk to the Hurricane players and coaches. Even more significantly, talk to the opposing players and coaches and see what they think about this regional coming down to Miami and what it might take to compete with the home favorite Hurricanes. Give us a little insight on what you're expecting to hear out there today. Put your fortune teller hat on and give us a little advance of what your story that will be on the website around midday today is likely to say.
Yeah, so when I spoke with Coach DeMar heading into the ACC baseball championships, his mindset was says, hey, regardless if we win every game or if we lose every game, I want this team to come out better than we entered the tournament. And that's going to be my biggest thing that I want to ask him. Say, hey, obviously you guys had those 3 big wins. You beat the number 1 team in the country, but you fell a little short to Clemson. Obviously, pitching kind of let you guys down in that game. Do you feel like the team has come out of that tournament better than they entered? And that's going to be my biggest thing because obviously, losing a game like that versus Clemson's 2 very, very hot teams. I kind of thought watching the game, it was like the immovable object versus unstoppable force. 2 really hot teams meeting. Something has to give. Obviously, Miami got the short end of the stick with that. But I just want to see, the mindset with Gino, the mindset with the players, because obviously you never want to lose a championship game, especially in that fashion when you're leading majority of it and then just one bad inning, foils everything for you. So that's kind of going to be my biggest thing. Speaking with Coach DeMar, speaking with a couple of the players, just what's that mindset now after having a hot start to the ACC championship and then falling short in the championship game. And regarding Maine, I just want to really ask them, hey, how do you feel, traveling to Miami, playing in front of their home crowd, a team that's still really hot, and it's you versus the world here. Obviously, Miami kind of went into North Carolina with that mindset. It's like us versus the world. Now it's kind of opposite. You have a team coming in, nothing to lose, just something to prove against you guys. So real, two different sides of the story I'm trying to get from, Maine and Miami. But my main thing is just how is Miami feeling headed into this NCAA regional tournament?
All right. And also on the website today, we got a few different football pieces for you guys to sink your teeth into. How about this? We got some game times starting to roll in, Canes fans. They gave us 4 of them yesterday. The season opener against Miami of Ohio is going to be a 7:00 game on a Friday night at Hard Rock Stadium. Good job there by the schedule makers at the ACC, setting that for 7 p.m. The game against Texas A&M 8 days later is going to be a 3:30 p.m. kickoff, national TV on ABC. So that's an exciting opportunity for Miami to start building a new image. It's always, are the Canes back? Are the Canes going to be back? Is this going to be the year that the Canes are finally better? But that September 9th game against Texas A&M guys, to me, even though it's not a conference game, is going to be a massive affair. You're going to have recruits there, I'm sure. You're going to have national television, and it's a chance to beat somebody. They didn't beat anybody last year. This is a chance to beat somebody who's at least somewhat competent in college football. I mean, Texas A&M was down a little bit last year. They'll probably be a little better this year, but having them at home, Matt, I'll go to you, is a great opportunity, I think, for the Hurricanes to get their season obviously headed in the right direction, but more significantly, to start building some respect again.
Yeah. Look, Texas A&M, for whatever reason, always seems to be ranked higher before a season than what they wind up being. But it's good that Miami has them early in the year, because if Texas A&M's no good again, at least when Miami beats them, which I think I know Miami's a 6.5-point underdog. I think Miami can beat Texas A&M. I have question marks about some of the other games on the schedule, but to me, that's probably, me personally, I think it's probably the 4th to 5th toughest game on the schedule, having it at home especially. So if they can win that game, you're basically, unless you have a total meltdown, you're basically going to be 5-0 to start the year and a top 20 team. And that'll be really exciting for fans. Like, I understand that we're predicting, well, at least Gary and I, Izubee has them 12-0, but Gary and I have them at 7-5, 8-4, that sort of thing. Coming off a 5-7 season, you can't expect much more than that. It's okay to show some progress and not to win 10 games immediately. Like, that's just what it is. It is what it is. Like I talked about the other day, they have 24 transfers on the roster. You have transfers on the roster because of what you inherited, and that's not the way to win 10 games, hypothetically, unless you're getting free agents. Not most of those guys were free agents. But anyway,
He can't help himself, Izubee. Every show, he's got to go off on his little tangent about the transfer portal. Okay,
I can't tell you how upset. I know I ranted earlier in the show already about like how just talking to recruits now has become, some recruits are still great, obviously, but some of them it's a chore. They got to get clearance from people to talk to you, or if you want to talk to their coach, let me check with some people. I'll let you know. Like, God forbid, I had a recruit the other day who I said, can I talk to, one of your coaches who knows you really well to just, get some quotes about you, real nice things he has to say, whatever. He says, let me check with some people, just stuff like that. It annoys me. It just annoys me because you know who they're checking with. I mean, it's like, it's money at stake now. And I get it. It just, I'll get over it eventually. When I realize I'm covering a professional sport, I'll get over it, because I did cover the Dolphins for a few years for Dolphin Digest. So I'll get over it eventually, okay? I do love covering sports. I do love doing interviews. It's just, it used to be so different. It's almost like the difference between, remember, Gary, we used to be able to go talk to any Miami football player we wanted to after practice. You just go up to him on the bench, go up to him after practice, go up to him after a game. You could talk to anybody by yourself, no SID staring over your shoulder, and just have a conversation and write a story. And now, of course, I assume most fans know how it is now. They bring out 4 hand-picked players after each practice. A group talks to them each. You can't ask them any one-on-one stuff. Maybe if you ask really nicely, they'll let you ask one question afterwards by yourself with somebody. What their favorite color is, I assume, is what they let you ask. But that's the difference to me. The difference between going to every player on the bench and what it is now, which now it's still fun to cover the team. Of course, if it wasn't fun, I would be working at Hooters and serving Gary chicken wings in my bikini. But it's still fun. But it's the difference between talking to everybody on the bench and what it is now. And that's how it is in recruiting to me now. It used to be, they'll talk to you anytime, anywhere, super friendly. They'll call me. They would call me like, hey, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Here's what's going on in my life. Whatever. I don't get those calls anymore. Like, it's changed. There's been a significant change in the mindset of recruits. I don't think it's good for the media. I don't think it's good for the public, because like I've always said, we're the conduit between everybody and you guys. And we just want to bring you like really nice stories. We're not out there to like write these negative stories that some other people write. I might be a negative person. I still write positive stories. I don't think you can show me stories I've written that are negative, that aren't the truth. So like, that's just what we are. We're a conduit. And it's just upsetting when you feel like that conduit is getting a little bit rusty. I don't remember your original question, but
I was discussing how you always manage to fit the transfer portal and your distaste of the transfer portal into this show. You're like one of those like, worn out, crusty comedians that work the smoke-filled comedy club.
Let me stop you right there. People, this is the problem.
I mean, your material is so old and worn. I mean,
this is the problem. People think I'm trying to be funny. I'm not. I'm just, when somebody speaks the truth, and the truth is like a little weird, people think that somebody's trying to be funny or a comedian. No, like, I'm not trying to be funny. This is just how I believe things are. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. This is my perception of reality. My niece thinks that we're all living in what's it called? In an illusion or something. She thinks none of this is real in the real world. Like, different people have different points of view. Some people storm the Capitol. Some people watch it on TV. Gary was in DC that day. I was at home. Like, people just view things in a different lens.
I think you should put a ban on yourself. Do not mention the word portal or transfer portal or free agents or any of those crazy terms that you like to use when discussing transfers. I think from June 1st to June 30th, you should just ban yourself from discussing the transfer portal, because it is all about traditional recruiting. This month. Deal?
I find it funny that that's the part you hone in on instead of denying that you were a part of the insurrection at the Capitol.
No comment. Anyway, I am going to be.
Were you at the Capitol?
Part of the insurrection.
I thought I was making that up. Were you actually at the Capitol?
No, I wasn't at the Capitol.
Well, there you go.
I am going to be part of the insurrection at Hard Rock Stadium on September the 14th at 7:30 at night.
Good segue.
Great segue, because the Canes are going to be playing Bethune-Cookman that night. What a letdown! 5 days after the big Texas A&M game on national TV, a Thursday night game against Bethune-Cookman. Wow. But I guess they still got to put those games on the schedule. I wish they would stop, but it is what it is. And the Canes play Bethune-Cookman this year, and that will be a 7:30 kickoff on Thursday night.
By the way, remember, it's a 4-day rest between the games, so you need Bethune-Cookman to be there, or you're taking a week off. I mean, you're not, or have it as a Saturday game. If you're going to play Thursday, it better be Bethune-Cookman after a Saturday game.
Well, I would agree with that, but the reason that they're only playing it on a Thursday night because they want a few extra days. I would say they want a few extra days to prepare for the road trip to Temple. But I don't know why they made it on Thursday night, but it probably could have been Saturday, but it's on Thursday, so they only have 5 days rest. Hopefully they'll be able to handle Bethune-Cookman regardless. And then the other game that we have a kickoff time is the November 24th, a Friday game at Boston College, the day after Thanksgiving. That is going to be a noon kickoff. So put that on your calendar. All right, a couple other football things on the website today. We continue our 50-1 countdown, ranking the top 50 post-spring players on Miami Hurricanes football team. And today we get to number 22, which is slot corner to Corey Couch. And I know some of you are probably sitting out there saying, hey, not so fast. Miami has amped it up at the cornerback position, brought in a couple of, Jesus. It brings me back to the transfer portal. They've brought in a couple transfers, Matt. What do you think about the cornerback transfers they've brought in? Are they free agents or are they just transfers? And how does that impact the Corey Couch?
Do you want the real answer?
Yeah.
If they were free agents, they wouldn't need to bring in 5 transfers, 4 this cycle, 1 last year, and still be looking for a JUCO kid who could play right away this year who's visiting this weekend. It gives you your answer is in who they are searching for in the portal. If they think they're set at a position, they're not going to be looking for guys in the portal. The fact they're still looking for another cornerback in the portal and have already taken 2 others after what they saw in the spring, that gravely concerns me because I thought I felt a little bit good during the spring about cornerback. And then when I saw them immediately after the spring chasing every cornerback they could find on the market who was any good, I was thinking, maybe I don't understand what I saw this spring because they obviously feel not so great about their boundary corners.
That's a fair assessment. Izubee, you agree with that? I mean, the fact that they were still bringing guys in as transfers here after spring practice kind of makes a statement that they're not overwhelmed with, and I know we make them number 22 today, but they're not overwhelmed with these guys that are out there right now. I mean, we kind of thought that position made some progress in spring practice. What do you think about this whole cornerback situation?
Yeah, I mean, when I watched the spring game, I thought, Devontae Brown was a solid corner. Daryl Porter was a solid corner. Obviously, Terry Roberts, I was not impressed with him whatsoever. No. It looked like he was running with bricks on his feet, but hopefully that's maybe just coming off injury. I know he's been injured a lot at Iowa. Maybe that's something he's not fully healthy, but I think it is kind of concerning seeing, the amount of cornerbacks Miami's pursuing in the portal after bringing in 2 from the portal, in that first window, obviously Jaden Davis coming from Oklahoma and then Dice Richards coming from Vanderbilt and then the JUCO cornerback out of California that they're having on a visit this weekend as well. It's just kind of head scratching. It's like, all right, you have a pretty, deep room. Is just like everyone failing the test right when you get them in, like what's happening with the evaluation beforehand? Why is there a need to bring in extra guys? I feel like if it was any other position, kind of be a bigger concern, but I feel like it's kind of getting swept under the rug, kind of just seeing, why is Miami bringing in 4 to 5 to 6 to however many cornerbacks in, 1 transfer portal window. So I do think there is a bit of concern there, but I do like that they're trying to address that concern, bringing in as many guys as they can to probably fix the issue before it becomes a real concern during the season.
They lost a few games last year because they couldn't cover. Mm-hmm. And it looks like, Mario and his staff are bound and determined to not have that be the reason why they lose games this year. And they are amping up the competition at cornerback. But the Corey Couch looked pretty good in spring practice. And, so right now we've got him ranked number 22 on the roster. And we take a look at that today. He will probably be the nickel corner in the slot in the passing situations. So make sure you check that story out. And then the last story I wanted to talk about on today's show is actually one of the more interesting. Believe it or not, there are several underclassmen on this football team that might leave early after next season and do it. We're so used to seeing these guys leave early without proper cause, so to speak, without the resume that you would like to see of guys going out into the league early. These guys have a decent chance to have the resume. The six are that we take a look at today are safety James Williams, defensive end Akeem Mesidor, safety Cam Kinchins, offensive guard Javion Cohen, defensive tackle Leonard Taylor, and of course the guy that and we'll save this for another day, but the guy that everybody's disrespecting like crazy, and that's quarterback Tyler Van Dyke, who apparently, according to I think it was 247 Sports, like isn't one of the top 25 quarterbacks in America even anymore. And this is a guy that people thought might be a first-round draft pick after last year, and he is getting no respect after a subpar season that was largely due. I mean, he had some adjustments to a new offense to make, but he threw for almost 500 yards against North Carolina. He was coming around before he got hurt. Okay, so people aren't really paying attention and looking at the facts, in my opinion. But we'll talk a little bit more about that on a different day. But in this case, Matt, you got six guys identified who potentially could leave early. Right now, if we're looking at it, I think we're saying all six of these guys are probably going to leave early if they're not hurt.
Yeah. So the COVID numbers still have skewed everything. So for instance, if I ask both of you right now, how many this coming year players on the roster are seniors that weren't transfers? In other words, they started their careers as Miami Hurricanes and now they're seniors. How many players would you guess are seniors that's the case for?
Wow. Go ahead, Izubee. I got to think about this for a second.
I'm just going to shoot out and I'm going to say 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just to be different, I'll say 17.
Okay, so I'm talking about seniors, right? Guys who were classified as seniors on this year's team that started at Miami. So there were actually 11 seniors, people qualified as seniors on this current roster. Two of them began their career as Miami Hurricanes, and that was Takari Couch and Keontre Smith. And so when you say that six juniors might leave, and as you look at those six juniors, if I'm not mistaken, I believe all of them, except for Mesidor, I believe, and Cohen, right? So four of the six began their careers as Hurricanes. So you're talking about, really six players who were recruited by Miami that are going to leave. You wouldn't say, oh my gosh, that's terrible. So these guys leaving early, a lot of programs, when players leave early, if there's six guys leave early, you think, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. These are supposed to be the guys who will be seniors next year, who are amazing. Well, this is a program now that's really being built by a base of young players, and that's okay because, the guys who are leaving really weren't the guys Mario Cristobal recruited. The guys who are leaving, the bulk of them this year that are seniors, are transfers who came in to help supplement he who can't be named's failures as a recruiter. And it's all okay to me. Like, that's all okay to me. If these six guys leave early, it's okay to me because this team can be great next year. And do you want to have those six guys back? Of course. But I have enough faith in Mario Cristobal as a recruiter that I'm hoping he gets to the point where he's built the roster with freshmen and sophomores and third-year sophomores or third-year true juniors to the point where he doesn't feel like he has to take 11, 12, 13 transfers every year. Because like I already said, 24 transfers.
We said you're not going to do this anymore.
On an 85-man roster is too much. 27% of your roster being guys that you don't even recruit when you're arguably the top recruiter in the nation. That's too much. So I think it's fine, to sort of build this team from the ground up. I don't think Mario wanted to do it from the ground up, which is why he brought in all these, the word I can't say. And I think after this all shakes out and these six guys leave, I think from that point on, if these six guys do indeed leave and have good seasons, if they have good seasons, they will leave. If that does indeed happen, I think we're going to see this paradigm shift. Gary, it's spelled with a G. You could look it up. I think we'll see this paradigm shift where all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of new guys who are having what we call breakout seasons, right? Everyone knows Tyler Van Dyke should do well. Everyone knows Akeem Mesidor should do well. Everyone knows Leonard Taylor should do well. I think the year after this, 2024, there's going to be a lot of players where fans are going to be saying, wow, look at this breakout season, like an Amon Richard type thing, right? Like a receiver who hadn't played much, who gets 800 yards, a running back who just didn't get many reps, who has a 1,000-yard season, stuff like that. A defensive lineman who hadn't played much, who gets 10 sacks. We're going to start seeing that because that's the kind of talent Mario's bringing on board in recruiting. Not in the word I can't say, in recruiting. And that's what I'm excited to see. I'm not excited to see guys who already know what they can do and we finish 5-7. Like, I'm excited to see the guys who we're developing, who Mario and the staff are developing, who will become great players for the University of Miami. And that's when I'll have my excited face.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this morning.
That's it.
That's it, man. We've put everybody through enough of you. That's going to do it for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. You'll have lots of stuff coming on the website all day today, all day tomorrow, all weekend long. Make sure you check in at least every few hours or so. It's going to be a lot for us to cover. And again, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button, and most of all, make sure that you're a subscriber to CaneSport.com. We're doing everything we can do to enhance your fan experience, and your subscriptions allow us to do it. So for Matt Shodell, Izubee Charles, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you for joining us once again, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.